What's good, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Hurls and Smalls Show. Coming to you guys. Holy shit. In the first week of the offseason, no more football to talk about. We got the Super Bowl over with. We're waiting for the offseason and the draft. But as you guys can see by the title, we have come up with something, and we're going to be handing out grades and report cards to each NFL team. But before we get there, Smalls, how you doing?
I'm doing good, y'all. For y'all that don't know, we were both chuckling at this intro because it has been a hell of a night so far. Um,
Absolutely.
but not including these last 15 minutes that I've been talking to you, been going great. You know, I went to see the new Captain America movie. It was phenomenal. For any Marvel fan out there, I highly suggest that you go see it in theaters. If you're not a Marvel fan, what are you doing? Get into the movies because they're until you get to where they start after Endgame, all the way through Endgame, very good. And then they started some ho shit with their Disney Plus shows and everything. But other than that, we're all good over here. How you doing, my brother?
Before we get to me, so we're handing out grades today. What would you grade the movie you just saw?
Oh, that it was probably like a B plus A minus.
Okay. But I'm doing pretty good. I talked about it, I guess before we started recording. But I went to go get my car service today because it had been telling me that maintenance has been required for like the past month, and I finally ended up going today. And yeah, I pulled in. I told you the story about me, pulling out and damn near ripping my bumper off. And I go in today, and the guy looks at it, and he just shakes his head, and he's like, and I asked him how, like, can they fix it or how much is it gonna be? And he ends up telling me it's gonna be like $600 or $700. So as I was saying, just the lesson to anybody out there: don't be lazy. Just take the extra couple of seconds and go do that, or else you're gonna cost yourself another $600 because I could have just ran into the house, grabbed my mom's keys, pulled her car out, and then drove off. But I just decided to try to squeeze around it, and now I cost myself $600. So yeah, take this as a lesson. Just don't be lazy.
Did you get it fixed?
No, no. Because
Okay.
he was like, you shouldn't fix it, because they would have charged me more there. He was like, I can get you a guy that can get it for you for less, and that's the $600. That's the less. So they would have charged me more at the actual dealership. So yeah, he was like, I can't even run it through the car wash because if he ran it through the car wash, it would rip the fucking bumper off. So so yeah, I gotta go get that fixed soon enough. Yeah,
I'm still freezing, by the way. I don't know what the hell's going on with that.
I saw it happen. I really don't know what's going on. I don't know,
Hell
but
of a night so far, dog.
hmm?
I said hell of a night so far. And
Yes,
for
one of
y'all
those
watching,
episodes.
Hurley's story the first time, 10 out of 10. He kind of rushed at that time because he didn't want to fucking tell it again.
The way I thought this was gonna be cut out, and then you just fucking exposing me like, damn, my fault, man. I wasn't recording, okay? I wasn't recording. My apologies. That's on me. But starting at the top, we're starting with the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens had a pretty good season, too, but I ended up giving the Ravens a B plus. I think if it could have gotten to that A if they were if Lamar Jackson and the crew were able to maybe get to the AFC Championship game, hell, even the Super Bowl. But I'm not gonna say get to the Super Bowl because only one team from each conference can do that. But I would just like to have seen them had a better playoff run than what they did. Yeah, you beat the Steelers, but everybody expected you to do that. It was really just came down to you playing the Bills and the Chiefs, and you ended up losing the first chance you got. So B plus was the best I could give the Ravens.
I gave the Baltimore Ravens the team I was rooting for all season. I'm a Vikings
Uh
fan,
huh.
but Lamar Jackson
Mhm.
trumps all. I
Mhm.
gave them a B plus because they had a good season, but they could have done so much better. They lost some games in the regular season that would have propelled them into a spot where they wouldn't have had to play Buffalo maybe that early in the playoffs. I don't know.
Mhm.
There's always ifs or
Or
coulds and
not just playing Buffalo. Maybe they're at home when they play Buffalo.
exactly. Like losing to the Raiders
Yeah,
in what week 3, week 2, something like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and not
They
just
started
losing,
0
but
2. Yeah.
they
Mhm.
they let the Raiders come back on some just disappointing
Yeah.
start, man.
Yeah, the Ravens, I feel like they're not that they're on the clock, but it's like they gotta put something together in the playoffs and go on a run here because it feels like every year they have such a great regular season, then they get to the playoffs and they just flame out. So I'm hoping next year's the year for them because I really do want to see Lamar Jackson win.
I can't even
But
say
moving
flame
on,
out though, because it was a good game and they won a game.
yeah,
I know what
it's
you're
just
saying, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's just like they're a dominant team. They're just they're
mhm,
struggling to claw in with those top two.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Moving on, we got the Buffalo Bills up next. I ended up giving them an A minus. I put them above the Ravens. They beat the Ravens in the playoffs, but I didn't think just them beating the Ravens would propel them as high or as high as like an A plus or anything like that. But for a team that lost a bunch of players in the offseason, a lot of people expected them to have a fall off. Josh Allen comes out and wins MVP and continues to carry this team into the playoffs and into the AFC Championship game where they end up losing to the Chiefs, which seems like, an every year thing. But I think this was a very good season from the Bills when people, kind of underestimated and underrated them. So I gave them an A minus.
I gave them an A minus because it was a great season for Josh and friends. Uh, I think they need to go into this offseason and upgrade that defense a little bit. But as you said, a slight drop off was expected, but nobody expected them to miss the playoffs or anything. I still thought they were going to be up there in that top four of the AFC. In that top four in my preseason included the Cincinnati Bengals, but it is what it is.
Speaking of the Cincinnati Bengals, we have them up next, and man, I ended up giving them a D minus.
Right?
I think you put up the season he did. And this is a team you're expecting. Last season, is what, Joe Burrow gets hurt. It's a wash. Whatever. We can't do anything about that. This year, you're expected to come back and maybe not be that Super Bowl team you were a few years back, but at least be a team that's going to compete with these high level teams like the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs at the top of the AFC. And you were nowhere near that. You had some terrible losses. You had losses to the Patriots in Week 1. What they start like 0-3, 0-4, so you just put yourself behind the eight ball and had to try to claw your way back. They almost did it at the end of the regular season, but I said at like week 18 when they did ended up not getting in, they just really didn't deserve it because of the way they started. And we don't even have we've mentioned that defense a million times. It felt like they let Joe Burrow down every single game. If this was just a Joe Burrow grade, I'm sure he'd get an A plus. But if it's the Cincinnati Bengals as a whole, I just have to give them a D minus.
I disagree with a D minus. I think a D minus is a team that has like nothing going for them damn near. I gave them a C minus because yeah, they were extremely disappointing, but Joe Burrow could have easily been in the MVP conversation. They were one game out of the playoffs. Jamar Chase was a Triple Crown winner. I just think that's the defense alone gets an F minus, but the team as a whole to me is a little bit higher up there.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But on to the Cleveland Browns. You said you gave the Browns a D minus, and you said you gave them a D minus strictly off of that Jerry Jeudy game.
I forgot we were using them. I expected us to go back to Baltimore again. I was like, what do you mean the Browns, bro?
Yeah, bro. Chalk this fucking. This is what the offseason is gonna be. This is what the offseason is gonna be.
But yeah, I gave the Browns a D minus because they started Deshaun way too long until he got hurt. I don't know how long they would have started him if he wouldn't have gotten hurt.
Mm-hmm.
We were begging them to give Jameis a chance just so that their team could have a chance. They pretty much wasted this entire season. Nick Chubb gets hurt again. Who knows if we'll see him even a tenth of what he used to be in his prime. He wasn't good this year, and then he gets another season, and it's looking bad for Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of him, you got Myles Garrett requesting out at the end of the season because he wants to go to a winner. It's just bad for Browns fans right now. It's bad. He's not coming to San Francisco.
Look at him. Look at him. So quick to place a bet, bro. Leave it the fuck alone.
It's you. Put your hand up.
But I ended up giving the Browns an F. That Jerry Jeudy game didn't do shit for me. Like you said, we talked about it all season. I think this is really why I gave them an F. They just started Deshaun Watson way too long. You said it. If Deshaun doesn't get hurt, he fuck around be their starter every single game of the season. They waited way too long to play Jameis or even see what DTR looks like in this offense. So yeah, I ended up giving them an F. And like you said, now you got Myles Garrett requesting a trade. Nick Chubb got hurt again. So I just think this was just a waste of a season for the Cleveland Browns. The Denver Broncos, your Broncos. I'll let you go first.
Don't ever say that again. Don't ever. I give the Broncos an A, man. I was extremely hateful towards them early on in the season, rightfully so. But yeah, rightfully so. Okay. But
For sure.
Bo
Oh,
Nix,
wow, no, not rightfully so. Holy shit! I'm just no, absolutely not.
Bo Nix really is a talented football player. As much as I hate to
That's
say
correct.
it,
Why do you hate to say it? Why do you hate to say it?
my hate watching is one of those few times it didn't become successful.
Mm-hmm.
They got a future over there, dog. Sean Payton did a masterful things with this team with so much dead money. Once they can actually build the team that he wants, it might end up scary over there. And give Javonte Williams the fucking ball.
I ended up giving the Broncos an A as well. I thought they would be a solid football team, but I think they were a good football team this year. This defense was very good, one of the best in the league this season. And Bo Nix, I just ended up, it's not like I was just high on him coming into the season, but you ended up being such a hater that I had to just come to his defense, and boy, did he make me look good. So Bo Nix, I love what I saw from you this rookie season, and I ended up giving the Broncos an A because of it. Shout out to you,
Can't
Devin.
wait to hate on him going into next season.
That is crazy. The Houston Texans, a team that I, hated on.
No, there's no quotations.
A team that I supposedly hated on throughout the season, I ended up giving a B- to. For what it's worth, they didn't have a bad season overall. I thought just throughout the entirety of the season, their offense just wasn't up to par as to what I thought it could have been. And, granted, they did have injuries to their wideouts like Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and their offensive line. We know what that offensive line is. But their
And
defense,
Nico Collins missed a good portion.
he did, but their defense showed up and showed out, and especially them winning that game in the fashion that they did in the playoffs against the Chargers, definitely took me out of anything in that C range. So I ended up giving them a B-.
I gave them a C+.
Okay,
pretty much the same grade, but
yeah.
The defense was masterful. The receivers are extremely talented when healthy, but as you said, wasn't the case. Joe Mixon was great to start the season.
Didn't even mention him, yeah.
CJ Stroud's sophomore slump was very real, and I believe that their offensive line's absolute monstrosity just cooked the whole season for them. I think they could have been way better if they actually had a line out there blocking instead of us two out there.
We might have done a better job. The Indianapolis Colts. I swear the Colts, they kind of became like maybe not your second team because you have 17 of them, so maybe your 18th team throughout the season. Felt like you kind of rooted for them after a while. What do you got for them?
I was rooting for them to start the season, but not for the Colts. I just love Anthony Richardson. So it's
okay.
But I definitely don't give a damn about the Colts.
All right.
Especially when Michael Pittman once again lets me down. I don't know how long. Next, Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman, I have been a fan of yours since you were drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Every year I was expecting the jump to come. You came into the offseason and said, I want to be in that upper echelon of receivers. And I bought all the stock in the world in you. Here we are. People are grading you as one of the worst contracts signed by a team this season. The 2025-2026 season will be the last season that I invest this highly into you. Don't let me down.
Wow.
I gave the Colts a D+. Okay. They were disappointing as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Richardson got benched for a while. Jonathan Taylor, he could have damn near clinched the playoffs for him once they dropped the ball before walking in. Mm. Their offensive line is very, very well. Their defense, I didn't expect them to be very good at all. Laiatu Latu is a monster. A disappointing season for a team that I believe has a good amount of talent on it. Shane Steichen was great in 2023. This season comes, and it's like, what are we doing here, dog?
Yeah, and especially with all that Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson stuff where he's getting benched, Joe Flacco's in, he's benched again, then Anthony Richardson's back in, then Flacco's back in. It was just all over the place with that. I ended up giving them a C-. I thought they were fine throughout the regular season, but that end, those couple of disappointing games, you talked about it with the Broncos, letting the Broncos win that game, and then you have that game against the Giants afterwards. Just some really disappointing games throughout this season, and I talked about this quarterback, carousel that they had with their two guys. So definitely a disappointing season for a team, like you said, that has some talent. I definitely expected them to be a bit better than what they were. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to you, Sujap. Coming into the season, we said we think this is the year where we really see who Trevor Lawrence is, where we know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be that top 5 guy one day, or if he's just going to be that middle of the pack guy, not a bad quarterback, but not one of the greats. And we still don't know the answer to that question. And the Jags came out and started like 0-5 or some shit like that. We were begging for them to fire Doug Peterson the entire season. So I ended up giving the Jags a D-. You saved yourself from an F because you had a guy like BTJ come in and have a phenomenal rookie season. So I guess there were a little bit of bright spots. You guys fought down the stretch, but there just wasn't much for me to be excited about in Jacksonville, so I ended up giving them a D-.
I think you were unbelievably too generous.
Wow.
I think that they only started giving BTJ the ball more because Gabe Davis got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the fact that they kept Doug Peterson for so long is laughable.
Like, we literally came on here every week and said, is this the week? Is this the week? Is this the week? Is this the week? And they just never did it.
You had a top 3 running back the season before regress in ways that I have never seen before. He was Travis Etienne. I'm still high on you, but holy cow, dog! We need a change of scenery because Tank Bigsby looked way better this season. And then you get to the offseason. And not the offseason, the playoffs, which is your offseason, because you damn sure weren't even close to that. And you keep Trent Baalke for way too long.
Yep.
You could have one of these guys that could change your franchise, but no, we want to keep Trent Baalke.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose out on the Ben Johnson chances. You lose out on even getting to try with Aaron Glenn. And I like Liam Cohen a lot, but the way that whole situation happened is disgusting.
Yeah,
he doesn't want
you just in time you fired Trent Baalke, so he's like, you know what? I'll actually come back for a visit. I'll come back for an interview. That's the only reason you got him. And
he had to do it like the side piece that nobody wants because he had already told Tampa he was coming back until y'all fired Trent Baalke, and now y'all got Duval. And it's disgusting. I think that they had a worse season than Cleveland.
Wow. I was gonna ask you, like, if you graded based off expectation, because a team that maybe finished 5 wins may score higher than a team that had 8 wins, but just because of the expectation. So it looks like you did, because
absolutely. I did a little bit of expectations, a little bit of actual season, and then a little bit of what they have building towards the future as well.
Okay, I like that. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs, the team that represented the AFC in the Super Bowl. They were looking for the three-peat this season. They ended up starting 11-0 until the Bills beat them. They only had 2 losses, and I guess only one of them was legit because they didn't play their starters in Week 18. Made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Like I said, I still ended up giving the Chiefs an A+. I can't give a team that was in the Super Bowl, lost 2 games, 1 game with their starters. I can't give a team any less than an A+ when you do that.
I gave them an A because this was still a down year for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the fact that this was a down year for them is laughable. They're a dynasty, dog. We'll see them back in the top echelon of teams again next season.
Absolutely.
And they did this without Rashee Rice and a healthy Pacheco.
And Hollywood Brown missed a lot of the season, and literally without their guys, a wash. Travis Kelce, we'll see if he comes back next season. But no, literally, this was.
You don't have to do the quotations there.
Oh, man. Wow. You think this is it for him? You think he comes back with more? Got one more in him?
I think it should be it for him.
Wow.
I don't know if it will be, but he was bad, man. And
I just don't want him to come back and he's just an absolute shell of himself next season where it's like fucking 400 yards and he just can't move. So if he's going to come back for one more season, like if he's saying, next season's my last, I'd rather him just go out this offseason. What do you got to say it?
Rob Gronkowski is the greatest tight end of all time.
I disagree. But we can agree to disagree. On to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't have much to say about them, but I ended up giving them a D-, a team that had no run game throughout the entirety of the season. But like I said, for the Jags, who I gave a D- too, you had a bright spot, and that bright spot ended up being Brock Bowers. Looked like the best rookie, one of the best rookie tight ends of all time, one of the best tight ends in the league right now. So shout outs to Brock Bowers. You made the Raiders watchable in some sense, but I don't know what they're doing there at quarterback. I don't know what they're doing there at quarterback. It looks like they don't know what they're doing at quarterback. Just wasn't a fun watch, so I ended up giving them a D-.
I truly don't know how this isn't an F. Brock Bowers had the best season for a tight end this year, but their defense was disgusting. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a running back. I might be Jacoby Myers' biggest fan in the world, but they don't have a true number one receiver. You have Antonio Pierce, who went from interim to head coach, and everybody loved him as an interim. He comes in as a head coach and looks like a fool. And then you have him at the end of the season, him wearing his jacket still saying, I haven't heard anything, so I'm going to assume I'll be back next season. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't even like it was the next day. It was like 5 days later they finally fire him. And it's like, what are y'all doing, man? What are y'all doing? And Pete has a lot of work to do to make this
for sure.
A competitive, not even competitive, but competent. That's the word I want. A competent team, and good luck, because I don't know how easy that's going to be.
For sure.
I give them an F. I don't know if I said that.
Yeah. Up next, we got my second team, the Los Angeles Chargers, and I wish I could give them a higher grade, but the way they ended the season just left a sour taste in my mouth. I'm at most, and I was like, I might have to go, but I ended up giving them a C+. Almost gave them a C, but I think this was a pretty good season from the Chargers. They showed some, I guess, progress in ways as to past seasons. Their defense has got back to being pretty decent. Justin Herbert, for him not having the array of weapons that other teams may have, I feel like he did a pretty decent job, especially Ladd McConkey, him coming out and balling. When J.K. Dobbins was healthy, especially early on in the season, he looked amazing. But the way they just looked in the playoffs, I just had to bring that grade down a lot more. So I ended up giving them a C+ because I didn't want to go too low because, they had a good regular season, I want to say. But the playoffs was just so bad. So if I brought the Texans up for that playoff win when they beat the Chargers, I have to bring the Chargers down for the playoff loss to the Texans.
I give the Chargers a B. I think that they have a lot to build on. I think that their expectations were cool and they exceeded those. Jim Harbaugh came in and completely revamped this culture. Justin Herbert is a quarterback who gets trolled a lot around the league, but he had a good season and he's a great player. I think they were cool, and they just went against the you're slighting them for their playoffs, but they went against the defense that was one of the best in the leagues, and their run game was extremely banged up at that time. So it's tough to compete when you don't have a true number one outside of rookie Ladd McConkey.
For sure. On to the Miami Dolphins. You can go ahead with your grade.
I gotta find the Dolphins because you did your fucking order so whack.
I went in alphabetical order.
I'm just kidding. I give the Dolphins a C- because they were disappointing, undoubtedly, but it wasn't a horrible season for them. They were still in competition, in conversations for those C words are kicking my ass tonight. They were still in conversation for the playoffs. It was just kind of a throwaway season for them because I think that Mike McDaniel gets a lot of love for all of his offensive ingenuity, but when Tua
Continue.
You put your finger up at me. Oh, I thought you were stopping me.
No, I wasn't stopping you. I was wagging my finger like saying Mike McDaniel may be like a little. He gets too much love.
I thought you were saying like, hold on.
No, that wasn't to stop you.
But when Tua went down with his concussion, they bring in my boy Snoop Huntley, and they just refused to slow the playbook down a lot. They were still trying to throw this complicated bullshit at him, and at some point you got to know when enough is enough. And the defense was a little disappointing, the offense was disappointing, and then you have Tyreek requesting out at the end of the season. It wasn't great, but I gave him a C minus.
I literally forgot Tyreek Hill requested a trade until like last week, bro. Like it was so because it happened right after the game. Literally at his post game presser, he's saying he wants out, he's gone. Like I completely forgot it happened, but I ended up giving the Dolphins a C. You already talked about it, but like two ended up getting hurt, so I can't really blame you guys too much. But Tyreek Hill was disappointing. That's a guy I expect to be able to perform no matter the circumstances. Even when Tua was there, it felt like he wasn't doing much of anything. I feel like the defense came on late, but you talked about it. Mike McDaniel, I feel like just didn't do a great job at adjusting. And I know a lot of Dolphins fans, that's kind of been their criticism of him, that, the playbook may be a little too, I don't know what the word is, but he needs to, I guess, be able to adapt at times. And it just seems like he's not able to. So, like I said, it's not too much of their fault. You had your quarterback get hurt, so I ended up giving them a C.
And it makes me sad that, I don't know if you ever saw it, but Coach Campbell was saying that if it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs, he was hoping that they would grant him his release so that he could go on to a playoff team and try to compete for the Super Bowl. And he still ended the season with the Dolphins, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, because they fake had a chance the entire way, so it's like I don't want to get released and then we get in. So yeah. Moving on to the New England Patriots, I ended up giving them a C plus. I think they did have there were a lot of bad things on this roster, but I think when you find your guy, in which they did, I think in Drake May, they went out and got Mike Vrabel. I really like the upside. I don't know if the upside is the word, but I think the future for the Patriots, I think, is pretty bright. You find your guy, but there are the direction, yeah. But I feel like there are a lot of holes. But this is what I mean when I say expectations, because this is kind of where I expected the Patriots to be. I didn't expect them to be much better, so I'm not going to give them an F because they won so few games. This is what I expected. So I give them a C plus because you see what you had in Drake May, but I just wish we would have started him from week one instead of doing the Jacoby Brissett bullshit. Start your guy from week one, and who knows how good Drake May is now. But like I said, you find your guy, you fix up those holes on that offensive line, especially those receivers out there. Get him a real guy, not fucking Pop Douglas, Keyshawn Boot. Get him a real guy out there. And that defense, if you can go out there and add a couple of pieces like a Dre Greenlaw or maybe a guy next to Christian Gonzalez, who knows what this team can be? They can be a even more competitive team. Maybe not make the playoffs, but this year I thought they were competitive. But next year I think they can be maybe a 7-win team if they had the right pieces. So C plus to you, New England Patriots.
I gave them a D. I think that Drake May is the only reason that they're not an F, because the fact that you started Jacoby Brissett for 6 weeks is just hilarious, because it's not like he was even looking okay. He was horrible. Ramondre Stevenson had a very down year. That you try to have a little bit of fun with Antonio Gibson. He sucks. You drafted 2 receivers in Javon Baker and Jalen Polk, and I thought they were both going to be good for them, and neither one of them did a damn thing. Keyshawn Boot had a big blow up. Shouts out to him, but move on from Kendrick Bourne. When he came back, you should have just kept him on the bench because you were already horrible. Let your young guys figure it out. The defense is a bright spot, however, as you said, and I think that Mike Vrabel is going to do wonderful things for them. I think he was a fantastic hire. I can't wait to see what goes on in the next couple of years of New England Patriots, because Drake May looks like a dog.
For sure. On to the New York Jets. Man, a team that I was pretty high on coming into the season, and you said it. I think it has to be an F. The way Aaron Rodgers looked this season, you trade for Davante Adams, and it does absolutely nothing for you. And it's not like the talent isn't there. There's talent in every position on this roster. Legitimately every position. You have 2 studs at receiver. You have one of the best running backs in the league. Everybody was calling him coming into this season. That defense has stars everywhere with DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, CJ Mosley, Quinnen Williams. There's stars all over this team, and they were just not able to get it done. And then you fire Robert Saleh, 5 weeks into the season, and then your defense just falls off a cliff afterwards. So I think there was just no other grade that you could give the Jets other than an F. So you gotta say?
I was thinking. No, I just froze. You were still talking on my screen.
I did, yeah, because you were frozen. You were just staring at me, so I thought you were just waiting for me to say something else.
I don't know why it's doing that all of a sudden, dog. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
You said you don't know if they could get any other grade. I could think about giving them something different. And the only thing other than an F would probably be an F minus, just because they're absolutely atrocious.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what Aaron Rodgers thought was going to happen when Davante Adams just slithers up from behind him. Like that was going to put some fear into other teams.
That video would never not kill me.
Garrett Wilson, Get your ass to Washington.
Come to the Bay Area. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that I kind of adopted as my, I guess, what would that be, third or fourth team throughout the season. I ended up giving
Damn,
them.
how many teams you root for?
Don't go there, because we can talk about all 32 with you. But I ended up 31. Sorry, 31. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. But I ended up giving the Steelers a C+. I talked about it towards the end of the season, especially. They just got to do something to get out of this purgatory. But aside from that, Justin Fields just should have been your fucking guy. He just should have been your guy. Russ did come in and play some pretty damn good football to start, but you just saw his fall off in like the last like 6 or 7 weeks of the season and into the playoffs. Russell Wilson was just awful. He was god awful. So you just should have stuck with Justin Fields. It looked like a good move at first, but you should have just stuck with Justin. And it's the same old Steelers season. You're a competitive team, but you get to the playoffs and do a whole lot of nothing. So C+.
I gave them a C. You said everything. They sucked at the end of the season. They were good at the beginning of the season. They got no momentum in either way. They're just kind of stuck in the middle. Figure something out.
Literally figure something out.
Let Justin go somewhere else, though, because I don't like y'all.
For sure. I guarantee you Aaron Rodgers is their starter next year, week 1. If Aaron Rodgers is
I'd like to
next
see.
year, he's their guy.
I think Justin over there with Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors could be fun.
I like that. I didn't even think of spots for Justin. I like that. But if Aaron Rodgers plays next year, if he says I'm not done yet, I guarantee he will be the Steelers week 1 starter. Moving on.
I'm pretty confident Kirk Cousins is going to end up. I think it'll be Kirk or Aaron Rodgers in Cleveland. The AFC North are just going to take both of them, bro.
Don't even talk about that guy, man. Kirk Cousins,
the fucking bum that's been asked for the last 7 years.
Kirk Cousins, I still got a little bit of faith in you for next year, man. We're gonna do our buying and selling stocks for next season, and your stock is so fucking low, so I think I'm just gonna buy some. It's worth like fucking a quarter of a fucking penny, so I'm just gonna buy some and see what happens. See if it can skyrocket. Maybe it can be a Pro Bowler one day.
I know I make a lot of jokes about him, and you make a lot of like you get a little angry up sometimes, like joking back at me. But I genuinely have more faith in the Big Show coming back than Kirk Cousins being good next season.
Oh. And I think that is ridiculous. And not because I think Kirk Cousins is going to be good, because the Big Show can't fucking walk. He cannot walk. But moving on to the last team of the AFC.
The Big Show has a higher chance at winning a world championship than Kirk Cousins has at being a Pro Bowler.
Absolutely not. The last team of the AFC, we got the Tennessee Titans. I don't have much to say here. I ended up giving them a D. You had Will Levis. You had him.
What'd you do to him?
I gave him a D, bro. Go ahead. Say what you got to say.
I ended up giving him a D.
Would you say to like shut the fuck up, bro? Moving on.
I just wrote bad team.
Moving on to the.
But I like. He gets a lot of shit right now. Brian Callahan is the Panthers, right? Or is Brian Callahan the Titans?
Brian Callahan's the Titans.
I like Brian Callahan. Dave Canales is the Panthers.
There's the Panthers, yeah. Moving on to the NFC in alphabetical order, we're starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals the Cardinals were a team I was high on coming into the season. I thought their offense could be electric. Maybe their defense would lag behind, but I thought they'd be able to win a bunch of games. Not a bunch of games, but games purely based off of their offense. And it just seems like Kyler Murray just can't put together an amazing 17 games. It feels like, what happened?
You're gonna blame Kyler for this season?
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I'm just talking about the Cardinals as a whole.
Talk about the defense.
It just seems like Kyler can't put together a good 17 games, a good 17 game stretch. He's good for a stretch here, then he's just not so good. He's eating cookies, eating pizza, playing Call of Duty. Then it's like, nah, Kyler, you're fucking grounded, not allowed to do any of that anymore. But I ended up giving the Arizona Cardinals a C-. That defense was not good, and we expected that, but it's really because of this offense, and this is not all on Kyler Murray, but this offense, I expected it just to be able to win them a bunch more games, especially down the stretch. It looked like they were going to run away with the NFC at like the midpoint of the season. It looked like the NFC was theirs for the taking. With the
No, it
yeah, it did.
NFC NFC West.
NFC West, NFC West, NFC West. Sorry. Like midway through the season, it looked like the NFC West was theirs for the take, and it looked like they were going to win the division easily, but they ended up finishing third, and it's just a really disappointing, especially end for the Cardinals to their season.
They were third.
Yeah.
Who was behind them? He just fucking pointed. I give them a C-.
All right.
They have talent, but I don't know where they go from here.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. I gave them a lot of shit for drafting Michael Penix, but thank God you did. Because if you would have been stuck with Kirk Cousins the entirety of the season with the way he was looking, your grade would have been an F-. But I ended up giving them a C+ because, yeah, you made that terrible decision to sign Kirk Cousins and draft a quarterback. But like I said, thank goodness you drafted that quarterback because he did look like he could, he could play in this league in those last couple of games he was in. You look like, you had a chance for that NFC South title, but the Bucs ended up taking it. But I don't think that's you guys' fault. Kirk Cousins just decided to fall off of a fucking cliff. Bijan Robinson, especially in the second half of the season, Bijan Robinson was unstoppable. He could do no wrong. So I ended up giving them a C+. I'm excited to see what the Falcons do next year. I think this could be a team that wins this division and maybe, who knows, wins a playoff game next season, depending on how good Michael Penix is. I'm really excited about the Falcons' future.
I loved Michael Penix in college. I loved when they drafted him, and then I hated when they drafted him because there's no reason to bring in Kirk Cousins when you draft Michael Penix, and then there's no reason to play Michael Penix. There's no reason to play Kirk Cousins when you have Michael Penix. So they get a C- out of me. I really, really like what they have going on for next season. Bijan could, no joke, be the best running back in all of football, but I don't really know what my feelings on Raheem Morris are yet. So.
For sure. The Carolina Panthers. Now, you may see my grade and be like, what the fuck? But this is where where the expectation that they had coming into the season really comes into effect for me. Maybe not the expectation when they started the season, not so much preseason. So when they, were a few weeks into the season, then they're expected to see where they ended. I ended up giving the Panthers a B. For what happened in this season, this is probably where I expected them to finish coming into the season. But once the season started, it's like, oh, here we go again. Maybe they're not going to win a game. Maybe they're going to win 1 or 2 games. And then you bench, you bench Bryce Young. Bryce Young comes back in after Andy Dalton's car crash or whatever. He comes back in. They're not winning a bunch of games, but they are in every single game, and Bryce Young is playing his ass off. They gave a Chiefs a run for their money. I think it was the Bucs they almost had. There were a bunch of games where they were just in it, and they were just a young team, an inexperienced team at the end with, you had him fumbling or a missed kick here or there, a drop from Xavier Legette. Just little things like that. You could see, it's a young, inexperienced team. They just haven't been there yet. But I think this team showed a lot of promise, especially late in the season, that they can be very, very competitive going into next season. Bryce Young showed a bunch of flashes. Xavier Legette, like you said, I think last episode, just couldn't get back right after that drop he had. I forget who it was against. Maybe was that the Chiefs game?
It might have been. It was a good team.
But yeah, he just couldn't get back right. But I like what I saw from the Panthers, and especially in that second half of the season once Bryce came back in. Looks like they have their guy after all the flack he was getting. So the Panthers, you get a B out of me.
I gave them a C+. They definitely could have been way better, but it definitely could have gone way worse. They were kind of like the Toronto Raptors right now, who they're in every game, but
they sucked good.
You
as D Mills said.
They definitely suck good. Yep. And speaking of basketball, the Heat played tonight, and they lost to the Mavericks, who didn't have Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, or Caleb Martin.
You guys didn't have Bam.
Bitch.
But I did see your boy have what, like 40?
Yeah, the Tyler hoop, but he shot 30 times.
Shout out to the Heat. Me and my friends have actually been talking about trying to go to a Heat game. So, maybe you can fly down and, go to this Heat game with us.
You gonna buy my ticket?
Moving on to the Chicago Bears. A team that we said coming into the season could be, they could win this division, could be last in this division. They ended up being last in the division, but this is not the fashion I saw it happening. They start off 4-2, lose every game until week 18. What is that, like an 11-game losing streak? Man, for how good they looked early, I just had to give this team a D-. We were like, Caleb's coming into the most perfect position for the perfect spot for a rookie quarterback. You got these weapons, you got this talented defense, you bring in DeAndre Swift. This is a perfect spot for a rookie quarterback. And then you end up going and winning 4 games after you won 4 in the first 6 games. You end up finishing with 5. I could not give them anything more than a D-.
Yeah, I gave them a D. I don't know what really happened with them. They started the season pretty good, but
holy fuck.
You said everything perfectly. I don't know what the fuck happened to Chicago, man. They got that Hail Mary thrown on them, and after that, it was just kind of like bad juju the whole season. Yep. Jaden Daniels is a curse, man.
You can go ahead with the Dallas Cowboys.
And the Bears, go fuck yourself. You should have kept Justin. And then you could have had a better team. You could have traded down, blah, blah, blah.
I was a keep Justin and trade the number 1 overall pick guy.
Justin's like talent-wise top 2 in the league, so it's really like understandable. The Cowboys, I gave them an F because you've said so many times, we're gonna go all in. We're gonna have a great season. They come in with no running back. Their defense takes a big hit. The Dak Prescott is not the Dak Prescott from the season prior, and then he gets hurt, and we get to watch Cooper Rush. He looked better than Dak, to be honest, but Cooper Rush is Cooper Rush, so I don't really know what anybody expected. You have CeeDee Lamb as literally your only option. And then on top of a bad season, you come to the offseason and you say, Mike McCarthy, we're going to keep you. You can't interview with the Bears. And then you end up firing him anyway, so you're kind of just between a rock and a hard place. And instead of waiting until the playoffs are over and kind of getting one of the last few guys, you just say, we're going to bring up our offensive coordinator anyways. What's his name? Schottenheimer? Come on, man.
Wow.
Jerry Jones, go sit on the beach somewhere.
You said it all. I ended up giving them a D-. You said it all. You said all I could say, but yeah, I said before we started, your heart is greater. But yeah, I just didn't give them the D because I guess your starting quarterback gets hurt. But the Cowboys, for what it's worth, we're definitely competitive towards the end of the year. But you said it all, Jerry Jones. I don't know what all in means to you. Moving on to the Detroit Lions, man.
They could wholeheartedly, genuinely be champions right now if it wasn't for injuries.
I wanted to give them an A, hell, even an A+ for how good this season was. I ended up giving them an A-. You end up losing that divisional game when people at least had you penciled into the NFC Championship game. You lose, you're one and done in the playoffs. But like you said, all those injuries, I can understand and kind of sympathize as to why you guys lost, didn't make it as far. Because it looked like for a while they're just gonna, fight through those injuries. They weren't losing. It wasn't affecting them at all. They still go on to win the conference, win the division. But I guess it just came and bit them in the ass, and Jaden Daniels went in there and just whooped some ass. But yeah, I ended up giving them an A-. They definitely had strong consideration to be an A+ if they even just win one more game in the playoffs. Just get to the NFC Championship game.
Dan Campbell really that guy. But I guess we're going to see if Dan Campbell's really that guy this season.
Next season, absolutely.
They got pushed, man.
The Green Bay Packers, another team I was supposedly hating on throughout the season. I ended up giving them a B. I thought they had a fine season, nothing spectacular, but I don't think it was disappointing in the slightest. You go into the playoffs, you're one and done, but I didn't expect much more. This is what I was saying for them the entirety of the season. But Jordan Love, if he could just continue to just cut back on the turnovers, it felt like at times it was just like, all right, Jordan, just don't lose this game. We're gonna have Josh Jacobs carry us throughout this game. You just protect the ball, make the right decisions, and Josh Jacobs will win this game for us. But I think and know Jordan Love can do a lot more than that and can be a lot more than that. But as far as this season goes, I give them a B, and I expect this to be a higher grade going into next season or coming out of next season.
I came into the season saying that Josh Jacobs was going to be a top 3 running back in the league. And he wasn't top 3, but Josh Jacobs had a very good season. He is so talented, man. Mm-hmm. I'm a big Jordan Love guy, but I was disappointed in him this season.
I absolutely was too.
They have a talented defense. They don't have a true number 1 receiver. I think it should be Romeo Doubs, but they got like 4 guys over there that could be a number
Literally.
2 on any team.
Exactly.
And Josh Jacobs went into the presser and was like, I think we should go out there and get a number 1 receiver. And pretty much every receiver on the team was not happy with that.
And it was when I saw that, I was like, there's no way that's real. Because I know you were doing your Madden rebuild. I don't know if this happened to you, but that's something the team says to you in Madden. That's literally what I thought of. It's like one of your star players was like, yeah, I think we know go out and need to get a number 1 guy. I think we need to go out and get a new quarterback. They tell you who they want you to draft or get in the offseason. And I was like, whoa, for him to go out there and say that. But it's the truth. I've been saying it. They like you said, they have a bunch of really good number 2s, but they don't have a go-to guy. It's every week it was someone else, legitimately every single week. And then don't even get me started when Christian Watson wasn't in. It felt like this offense couldn't do a damn thing. So is he their number 1? But once he comes in, if it doesn't feel like he's their number 1, but when he's not in there, it feels like this offense isn't where it should be. It was just all over the place for the Packers in terms of the receivers. So yeah, like he said, they just really got to go get their solidified number 1 guy. You can definitely package 2 of those guys in a late pick and go get somebody if anybody asks out or something like that. You definitely can.
Take it or take it. Christian Watson and the 4th string D tackle for Garrett Wilson.
Come on, Garrett Wilson. Take it or take it. I'm taking it. Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams. They end up winning the NFC West. I gave them an A-. A team that I expected to be towards the bottom of the NFC West this season ended up winning it and winning a playoff game. Matthew Stafford, we talked about it every other week. One week he's a old ass that needs to retire. Next week he's the best quarterback in the league. So Matthew Stafford and the Rams, I gave you guys an A-. Sean McVay, you're an amazing coach. You guys are trading Cooper Kupp, so that, figure that out. But you still got Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. I don't know how I feel about you, but you had the bright spots on defense in Byron Young. You had the Rookie of the Year in Jared Verse. So A- for the Rams.
I gave him an F because YRG Anthony is a Rams fan.
Hell yeah!
I hate that guy. Fuck you, Ant. But real shit, I gave him what did I give him? A B-. They started slow. We were talking, should they trade their guys? Should they keep their guys? They beat the Vikings. They go on their little run. They could have been a lot higher, but them forcing Cooper Kupp out of town is just absolutely disgusting to me. So I dropped them a little bit for that.
For sure.
But they had a good season overall. You see that I don't know how true it is, but it was like the Rams want the 3rd pick for Matt Stafford to the Giants.
I did not see that, but if the Giants do that, fire everybody. Fire everybody. Because what the fuck is that doing for you? What is that doing for you? So
except Tyrone Tracy, everybody. Don't fire him. I like him.
Moving on to your Minnesota Vikings. I will let you go first.
They've got the best player in all of football over there.
You want to name him?
Is that crazy? That's probably crazy because Lamar Jackson's in this league. They got the 2nd best player in all of football over there.
Sam Darnold.
And Justin Jefferson.
And Justin Jefferson.
I've said it a couple times. I don't know if anybody remembers this or not, but preseason, a good buddy of mine was like, "Yeah,
God, enough." Minnesota Vikings. I had you guys at 2 wins, so I gave you guys an A. Okay, I gave you guys an A because I expected 2 wins. You guys went out and literally flipped the record. Or no, you guys won 1 less, so you guys won 14 games. I had you guys at 2 wins. I gave you guys an A. Okay, you're welcome. I apologize for my preseason shenanigans, but Sam Darnold, you had a phenomenal season. Kevin O'Connell, you're a hell of a coach. Minnesota Vikings, skull, baby.
So, since I predicted Sam Darnold to be this good, and he is, once Sam Howell comes out and has his dominant season, you'll admit that I'm just a quarterback maestro.
You also said Drew Lock was big. I don't even know if that word's allowed on here.
But he hasn't gotten his chance yet.
And you also were a big who what the. I just drew a fucking blank. Oh, you were a big Bo Nix hater, and he came out and had a very good season.
We haven't seen enough of him yet.
You're kind of so and so. After next season, I think I'll have an answer for you. You're kind of so and so right now. You're shooting 50%.
I'm not a Dylan Gabriel guy.
And my Oregon Duck, Dylan Gabriel, is going to come in and win Rookie of the Year next year. Moving on to my boy Frosty and his new... Oh, my goodness. Put your fucking hand down. Moving on to my boy Frosty and the New Orleans Saints. Frosty, fuck you. I gave you guys a D+. You guys stink. You guys have no direction. Derek Carr made it fun for the first 2 weeks. Every now and then he'll make a throw where it's like, holy shit, Derek Carr just bombed it 55 yards to MVS in the bucket. But then after that, it's a whole lot of trash. You guys started Jake Haener over Spencer Rattler when Derek Carr was out. What are you guys doing? Then you guys like, oh shit, Jake Haener kind of sucks. Let's play Spencer Rattler. So yeah, I gave you guys a wait. No, actually, I gave them a D-. Sorry, I was looking at a different team. I gave them a D-, not a D+.
Once again,
Too generous.
too generous. The Saints should easily be an F. They were the first team to fire their coach. Darren Rizzi was an interim in what, like week 8? And they were still the last team to hire a coach. How that's even possible, I don't know. Chris Olave,
so
get
funny.
the fuck up out of New Orleans.
I didn't even think about that. You're the first team to fire your coach in week 8, and you're the last one to hire by far. I didn't even think about that. That's funny.
They don't have a quarterback. At least they shouldn't have a quarterback. Yeah, they do. I like Spencer Rattler a lot, but get homie off the team, please. There's no reason he should be there. They have no money. They have less money than I've ever had. Like they're negative so much that I'll never even see that much money. I won't even get close to seeing that much money.
Moving on to your New York Giants, because they got your guy over there, Drew Lock, so that's why they're your New York Giants. I gave them, may sound crazy, but I gave them an F, strictly because of what the guy you let go did. He went out and had 2,000 yards this season and went out and won the Super Bowl. So I think this is the worst year the Giants could possibly have. So I gave the Giants an F because you decided we're not going to pay Saquon Barkley. We're going to let him go in division because we paid Daniel Jones years ago. So we don't think we have enough to pay Saquon Barkley either. And yeah, so just based off of that, I think the Giants deserve an F because you let Saquon Barkley walk and he went in division and won the Super Bowl.
I'm not even saying this about you, but I'm so tired of that fucking conversation. I don't think he wanted to resign in New York.
I think he did. I think he's came out and said that. And all things have pointed to, like, it seemed like he has a good relationship and likes the like he said to Jameis. In the clip you talked about where they cut out what he said and he was like, no, I got all the love for New York. He's like, yeah, Brian Daboll will get you right. It seems like he literally enjoys New York and enjoyed his time with the Giants. I think he would have came back if they gave him the money.
I also think he enjoyed his time, but I think he knows they weren't winning shit over there at the same time.
For sure.
I think that if you're giving the Raiders any grade above an F, I think that the Giants have to be above an F. Because Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors were both phenomenal. They both had 1,000 yards. I think if you gave... Who else did you give a D- because you said one... If you give the... Come on, dog. If you gave the Jaguars a D-, the Giants have to be at least a D-.
Fine, the Giants can have a D- instead of an F. The Giants can have a D-.
The Jaguars were just so fucking dumb, dogs. And Suge, I'm sorry, but I don't know what y'all doing over there. I might rather be a Saints fan right now than... No, I won't.
Whoa!
The Saints might have
least.
the
yeah.
Yeah, they might be last. Like,
yeah,
dead ass. If I had to change my fandom right now, Saints are probably 32nd choice.
For sure. By far. Moving on to the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. I think the answer is pretty easy here. I gave them an A+. You go out and win the Super Bowl.
It's
a B+. All right. B+.
It's an A+.
A+. Not much to say there. You went out and won the Super Bowl.
I think that not only AJ Brown came out and said it first, but then Jalen Hurts also said it. AJ Brown was like, yeah, I've been chasing this feeling of victory my entire life, and now that the fact that I have it lasted a whole 2 days, but that's never the feeling that I've been chasing. He was like, I want these corners to know they can't fuck with me. The fact that I'm the best in the world is the feeling that I'm chasing for. So back at it and shit like that. And then Jalen Hurts also came out and was like, yeah, winning was cool, but the feeling of this win is not even half of what the pain of that loss was. And they're all like, yeah, the Super Bowl is cool, but we don't really give a fuck about it. We just want to keep going.
All the like the media run the media run that he's been on of Jalen Hurts has made me like him more and more and more. Seeing him do the interview, seeing him at Disney, I don't know if you saw the clip where he was just like straight face, and then the guy was screaming out in the crowd, "How about that defense?" And he turns and smiles and laughs at the crowd. He's on a fucking the late night talk show with Saquon Barkley. So all this media run that he's been on has just made me like Jalen Hurts more and more and more. So Jalen Hurts, man, shout out to you.
Well, did you see him dap up Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, I did. Like backstage.
You see Jaylen Brown's outfit?
Mm-hmm. People were
they were saying he looked like a jewel thief.
Yeah, people were hating on it, but JB, he's a different guy. He's a little different than others. So I
saw people saying like this is exactly why NBA players make the most money in the world though, because
of how he was built.
Jalen Hurts and Saquon are crazy, but Jaylen Brown made them look like little boys.
That's what Celtics do, baby.
Jaylen Brown made those two athletes look like what I would make you look like in a fight.
And it didn't help with what they were wearing. They were wearing like the quarter zip like sweaters, and Jaylen Brown's just in a black tee. So it didn't help with what they were wearing. They looked like some 18-year-olds going to see Jaylen Brown get an autograph or something. But like I was saying, we said we're skipping the Niners. So moving on to the Seattle Seahawks. I ended up giving them a...
I think you missed the Portland Trailblazers. Philadelphia, Portland.
No. We're doing NBA's a little further away. We're doing NFL.
Right
now. But like I said,
I don't know what happened.
We're skipping the San Francisco 49ers. On to the Seattle Seahawks. I ended up giving them a C+.
The Seahawks, where are they at? The Seahawks are in the West. Oh, right above the Seahawks, we got the San Francisco 49ers. I gave them a D+ because they're bad. But the Seahawks, I gave a B-. Gino, you're cool. I don't know if you're the long-term option anymore. Mm-hmm. Mike McDonald seems to really love him, and they're building something cool over there in Seattle. But they're gonna have to find a quarterback after Gino.
Yeah, and realize that this is JSN's offense. DK, I think your time in Seattle is done. But
I think you should stop saying that.
But back to the Niners. You said you gave them a D+. I was a little less generous. I gave them a D-. I get we went through all the injuries, but I said coming into this, I did a lot based off of expectation. We had high expectations and we came nowhere near that. Didn't even sniff the fucking playoffs. So D- because most of the team was terrible besides George Kittle. On to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Jake Moody was awful.
Don't even get me started. If he's our kicker going into next season, we're not making the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that you love their quarterback. I didn't realize how high you were on him, but I ended up giving them a B-. They gave us a little scare at the end of the season thinking, hold on, are they not going to make the playoffs because they wanted to lose to the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football? But they end up getting in, and we thought maybe they could, upset a couple of teams in the playoffs, but they end up being one and done, which is okay. But in a soft division, they end up winning it. So I give them a B-. They had a good season.
I gave them a B. They need to do something, though. They're stuck in mud right now. I think that Baker Mayfield is absolutely incredible. I think that Mike Evans is a stud. I think they got 2 running backs over there that can be their long-term options. Vita Vea is top 3 defensive tackle in all of football. And then, they got some secondary over there that's cool. But they just need they need to figure out something that if they're going to keep going towards the Super Bowl, figure out how they can do so. I don't know if they can, but their current construction is not the
yeah, that's what I've been saying. I feel like they just reached their cap with this roster. They reached their peak.
They need to go get Miles.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that at all. Last but not least, shout outs to you, Joe, for making it to the end of the report cards. We got the Washington Commanders, and I said this is based off of expectation heavily. I gave them an A+. The only other A+ I gave were to the 2 Super Bowl teams, but I think I have to give the Washington Commanders an A+ here. You draft the best quarterback in the last year's draft class at number 2. You start him immediately, and he brings you right into the playoffs, winning 12 games, almost winning a division. You get all the way to the NFC Championship game. I don't think there's any other grade I can give you guys but an A+. Dan Quinn, you did a great job over there. Shout out to you, Washington.
I gave them an A+ as well. They had just a spectacular season. They did everything right in one season with this new ownership, with this new coach, and it was just beautiful to watch week in, week out. First couple seasons, it was like, hold on, what are we seeing right now? What's going on in Washington? Mm-hmm. Because me and you were both skeptical of the Bobby Wagner signing and all these other old guys. Mm-hmm. And the only flaw I have for Washington in this whole season is that Austin Eckler, you're bald, so figure that out. But other than that, great season.
Like, I remember being in like week 6 and like, bro, the Washington Commanders are 4-2 right now. They're actually a good football team, and they went all the way on to the NFC Championship game. So Washington, bro, you guys had a hell of a season, and your future is bright.
Be expected to lose the Vikings next season, though.
That is it for the NFL grades of the entire season. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Smalls and I had a hell of a time trying to come up with something to do today. So who knows if we're doing two a week, two episodes a week for the next coming weeks. Because if our first week of the offseason was this tough to come up with something, boy, this offseason is going to be a fucking drag, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't really know what we can do after this, because we're gonna have to get into either the draft or free agency, but we're kind of on a hiatus until one of those.
Yeah, we need free agency to just kick off already, or we need the Myles Garrett trade to happen, or the Cooper Kupp, something. We just need something to happen in the NFL. Or like you said, I guess I gotta lock into the fucking what's XFL, UFL. Sorry, UFL.
I'm gonna really try to watch it because football's fun to watch, and I might just root for Matt Corral's team because he might be the only quarterback I know over there.
Mm-hmm. I just seen something on Twitter where it was telling me like the top 5 receivers in the UFL, and I tried like when they first did it, but it obviously wasn't the UFL. It was still the XFL, and I don't even remember the team's name, but they wore like a baby blue, like a light blue, and that's the team I rooted for. But I just couldn't even bring myself to just be okay. They play at this time, they play on this day, and lock in on it.
Let's pick the same team and just lock in like Die Hard type shit.
Okay. Keep pull up. I'm gonna pull up the list of teams and
we'll make our pick next episode.
Okay,
we'll talk about it a little bit.
All right, bet. I'm down. I'll lock in. Yeah, if we both lock in on the one team, I'll watch their games. But I can't guarantee I'll be watching all throughout the league. But if we both pick one team, I'll lock in on it. I got you.
We're gonna know everything about this one team, and then
nothing else.
I don't even know how many teams are in the league.
Couldn't tell you.
Man, Matt Corral had 312 yards. Couldn't even tell you who the other quarterback was, though.
Literally couldn't tell you what he did. But yeah, unless you don't have anything else for today.
I mean, I got a little small talk.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say unless you don't got anything else, we're getting out of here. But go ahead with your small talk. Hopefully, this takes us, an extra 30 minutes so we can get the people a longer episode.
Shout out Madison Green. Love you. Had a game tonight. They got their first win after a 2-game losing streak in California. They won 87-84. She had a
sounds like a fun game.
I don't know. I was in the theater watching the movie, so I missed this game and the Heat game, so I was a little blue about that. But the Captain America movie was so good, dog.
It was worth it. Okay.
But she had a cool little 3 points, 3 assists. Light work for a stud like her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your job. You've been talking about wanting to move on.
Mm-hmm.
However, you've been there for a while, like 2 years now.
Almost 3. 3 in April.
What's been the most rewarding and most frustrating part at your job, like day to day?
Oh, day to day, not in the grand scheme. Frustrating.
It can be either.
Okay, frustrating and rewarding. Frustrating. Okay. One thing I hate, it's like, okay, so it's whatever. We close at 11, but I usually get off 12, 12:30 or whatever. Say we close at 11, it's like everybody else is like, all right, I'll see you, tomorrow. I'll see you guys whenever. It's like everybody's going home, and I'm still here till 11:30. And then my manager is like, hey, Hurls, you mind doing this for me? You mind doing this for me? Can you run this out for me? Can you put these back on the shelf for me? It's like, why did we just let everybody go home then if we still had some more stuff to do? And it's just going to be me and you staying here till 11 or 12:30. It's like, why couldn't the entire crew stay? It's like, once it hits 11 on the dot, and there's even a guy that leaves at 10. He leaves early. But once it hits 11, it feels like everybody else is just out of there. But I'm the type of guy where it's like, hey, boss, you need anything before I go out? I never leave work where it's like, all right, it's 11. I'm clocking out. I'm gone. I always, whoever my manager is working, I'm working with that night. Yo, you need anything else before I go? Anything I can help you with before I go? I always do it. But it seems like my coworkers just like they just leave right when the time hits, and it's like I'm just fucking stuck there picking up everybody else's shit. So that's definitely the most frustrating thing. Also, it's like sometimes when I work with a specific manager, it's like I'm gonna put this to the side. Like I could do this, but I'm gonna put it to the side so Hurlins can do it. It's like once Herlins is done working on his stuff, he can do this for me. I hate that shit. It's like I'll be filling up the waters or whatever, doing what I'm doing on the floor, and I'll head back to the back room and I see a cart just waiting for me. It's like, if you knew I was busy, why couldn't you just, bust this out real quick, and it'd save us both time, and we wouldn't be here as late if you just did it instead of waiting for me to finish what I was doing. They knew what you're supposed to be doing. But most rewarding thing, it's gonna sound like I should have left the job fucking 2 years ago, but I don't know if there's a most rewarding thing, to be honest. I really don't know. They gave me Associate of the Month a couple of months ago, but that didn't really do shit for me. It's not like they gave me a fucking gift card. They just gave me a fucking pin. Oh no, they did give me a gift card to the store. It was like $20, but they just gave me a fucking pin that said Associate of the Month, and I wore it for the rest of the day. But rewarding, I really don't know if there's a really rewarding part. But what I will say is I love my bosses though. Like they're the type of bosses where I can just have conversation with, we can joke with each other and shit like that. And like, it's like, if I ever need to call out, it's like, I don't need to put the day in and request the day off. It's just like, hey, I can't, I'm not coming in this day. It's like, all right, no problem. We'll see you the next day after. So my boss is very, very lenient with when it comes to things like that. So that's, I guess, the most rewarding thing that I have. Super, like, these are the best bosses I've ever had. Yeah, I'll put it like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you?
Next one. Oh, most rewarding is definitely just like the fact I can see myself learning shit. When I first started working, like I'm not a mechanic by any means, but like the mechanic side of the shop and everything, I've just learned a shit ton, and it's kind of cool to actually know stuff about airplanes now. And the most frustrating is very similar to yours. Today, for example, it was 5:15. It was just me and Boss Man in the hangar, and then the other two guys were out in the back hangar. He looks at me and goes, "All right, I'm gonna go out there and check on the other guys, and then we can all get the fuck out of here." Word for word, that's what he said. And then he made a phone call real quick, so I went out there to check on what they were doing. And as I walked in, they were finishing up. So I was like, "If we pack it up real quick and we get back into the other hangar, we can go home." Because I was ready to get the fuck out of there. That was at 5:15. For an hour and 15 minutes, he just finds bogus ass shit to do that could easily have been done tomorrow, dog.
I hate the manager where it's like, just I'm gonna find some bullshit for you to do. Sweep the outside of the store for us. Sweep the storefront for me. Sweep the parking lot. Like what are we doing when it's like what, you just on some bullshit here? You got some fucking quota to hit or something for hours. It's like, what are we doing here to where I just got to do this random bullshit? I'm fucking wiping down the shelves. Like, what am I doing here? I'm not a fucking janitor. It's just that's the type of shit I definitely do hate. So I feel you on that one.
He literally had a sweep 3 times in the matter of like 20 minutes, and the whole thing started because he wanted to move the one airplane back further so we could get another airplane in that hangar tomorrow. And it's like, we can literally just move this one table and move the plane back with ease, but no, you want to literally put everything away when it's time to go so that you can move this one airplane back another 10 foot. And it's like, dog, you just go back to the house and the 3 of us will figure this out without making it way more complicated than what you're doing, because this is extra and it's frustrating. And it got to the point where he was getting ready to go back, and they were all out there talking to him. And I just looked at him and turned around and walked out and closed the door because I was pissed.
Okay.
Next one.
Most rewarding.
You got any? I already said. I said it was like learning shit.
Oh, you did. Sorry, you did. My fault.
Do you have any like goals or something that a lot of people look forward to? I don't know if you ever read Atomic Habit, but it talks about that a little bit, and you probably haven't because you don't read books or watch movies. So, but do you have any, like, how far into you are that? He's gonna show me the 17th page.
157.
Wow.
But I've had it for a while, so I definitely should be further. I told you I got this like a month and a half ago.
I literally put mine back on the shelf because I wasn't reading it.
Go ahead with the next question.
I just listened to what they talk about on the episodes, and it's like, all right, that's cool.
Go ahead.
Once they actually do a book, I'll read it along with them. But this is a book where, like, I just don't care.
Like a story, like not a story book, but like a book, like a.
It could even be like a book like this, where it's
just a better
self-help book or something like.
Just a better book.
Yeah, I'm not interested in this. Okay. I don't have kids. I think a lot of the stuff they're talking about is just kind of self-explanatory in my opinion. But
okay.
Long-term goals. You got any at the moment? Like a new job is one. A house is one for me.
Yeah, the new job. I was talking about the like how I was gonna work for Pepsi and Cola and stuff. but I found something else that I could do. But it would be like the hours are just gonna be a weird thing. But I have like a friend and family who works over there, and it's funny because it was a place I was gonna work during the pandemic. So before my current job, I used to work at CVS. And when I was looking to leave CVS, this was a job that I was could have done during the pandemic, but it was just some things just fell through and it just didn't end up happening. And but now here we are in 2025, and I have the opportunity with the same job again, and I think I will take it. But it's gonna be weird because right now all they have is overnight. So it would be weird hours. So I was like I could just keep my current job and also work the other job because they would never interfere with each other. Maybe because with my current job it's like there's truck days and non-truck days. So it's like maybe I'll just only come in on truck days now, tell them I'm only available on truck days, so I'm not working 40 hours at two different jobs or something like that. But I mean, just so I still have like double income. But yeah, the hours would just be weird because, like I said, it's overnight. Everything else is booked. My cousin is that he works there. He's told me he could see what he would do, try to see if there's any other positions I can do, just working nights or mornings or something else. But right now it's only overnight that's open. So even if it is only overnight, I probably will take the job, but it will just be a little weird adjusting to that because I am up at those hours most of the time, but it's like I'm gonna be like my entire like sleep schedule is gonna be just reversed at that point. I'm gonna be sleeping throughout the day. Like I usually sleep in late, but now I'm gonna be getting home at fucking what 10 a.m. and sleeping until what fucking 4. So it'll just be weird. But yeah, that looks like the job I'll probably have next as of right now. But we'll see what goes on there.
All right. Uh,
And for
last
you, you
one
said
before we
you
get.
said you said buying a house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
have you had any progress
It's
on
just
that?
so hard, man.
Yeah, any
No,
progress?
we were looking at one the other day, and it was like it would be a major fixer upper, but the price was decent, and the garage was nice, and it also had a barn behind it. So I might see if we can go look at that one. There's one that when I first started looking for houses, it's like 3 minutes away from my job. It's literally everything I want. It's just super overpriced,
Mm-hmm.
and I've kind of limited myself to 200,000, and it's at 240. So 40,000 is a lot of fucking money,
Mm-hmm.
but.
Another goal. You talked about your goal for if you don't hit it by March or whatever. I'm not gonna bring that back up because you said whoever watched that watch that. But I told you I've been stuck in this little range for a while, but I kind of broke out of it. So right now I'm 224, and I've been stuck because earlier in the weight loss, probably in the weight loss journey, you're losing a lot of weight early on. You kind of fall off a bit. But I started it in late May, early June last year. And I'm like I said, I'm 225 right now. My goal is to be down to 205 by then. So that is, I guess, it's not long term, but that is my goal in the next couple of months to
And what did you start
shed
at?
another. See that I wish I would have gotten on the scale right when I started. The first time I got on the scale, I was 282. I think.
A little under 80 pounds in a year. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I want to get down to 205 by the end of May, beginning of June. So that's my short term goal, I guess.
I mean, it's several months. It's still kind of a
Yeah,
long
definitely.
term.
But I just feel like I've just staggered these last couple of months, and definitely, and it's not like I know that's gonna happen, but I feel like a lot of it was definitely just on me. Like I just have been just not doing as well. Like oh man, I see that's I don't keep shit like that in my room because I'll eat all of it. So I make sure not to keep any snacks I can just grab real quick in my room. But
I
yeah.
don't either. But I literally stopped because the gas station was right on my way home from the movie theater, and I was
Mhm.
like, I know they got good snacks in there. So I don't know, man. Upset with myself, but
Another so I fucking said I had one goal, now I'm here I am. But another short-term goal, and this is gonna sound, if anybody knows me, this is gonna sound weird to me because I've always said that no, I'm kind of chilling right now, just focusing on myself, just not doing anything. But I think I am putting myself back on out into the market. I think I am, not looking for a girl or anything like that, but I am willing to, because I have not even been willing to talk with or like not even let things develop. Like yeah, I've talked to somebody here or there, but I've just kind of been just closed off and not allowing myself to allow it to go further. So I'm kind of just opening myself up as of late recently. And like I talked about last episode, I was talking to the girl that had stopped me when I went out, and we are still texting. But like just things like that, I'm just opening myself up and putting myself back on out into the market. So that's not a
so
goal, I guess, to have a girlfriend by this, but just open myself up as I used to be.
tomorrow's a big day.
What is that? Oh no, I'm not doing anything. Not doing anything. I'll be working. Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to anybody who's celebrating Punks. Hope you and Ash have a great time, but hope you and Jessica have a great time. But yeah, I'll be working. I won't be celebrating anything.
I will also be working. I don't know if this is really even an answer you could, or a question you could give an answer to, but you know, you have priorities in life. Have yours changed? You think in like the last 5 years, like since you graduated high school, you think your priorities have changed a whole lot?
Priority in terms of like just life as a whole.
Yeah.
Have they changed a whole lot? Probably. I would.
It's just kind of hard to think of.
Yeah, it is because I don't know what if I like even had or what were my priorities back then. Like what was on my mind back then. I would say I guess so. Yeah, because like my priorities right now are just like working and like just making sure everything I have is just like paid and like my car. I pay the Wi-Fi and shit like that. So I guess my priority right now is just working and working on myself as well. Like make sure I'm locked in on myself. I don't that wasn't a priority for me back then, and the work obviously wasn't one for me back then because I wasn't working in high school. Um, in terms of I guess that's it because like I said I just really don't know what my priorities were back then.
Fair enough. Last thing, we always talk about it.
We forgot last episode.
How we've been doing lately.
And we talked, this is crazy because we forgot last episode, but just naturally the conversation came up afterwards when we were recording TikToks and stuff afterwards. But yeah, my sleep schedule or just me waking up in the mornings has definitely been a lot better. Like it, and I said this whenever last time we talked about it, it's not that I'm waking up early, it's just that I'm waking up when the app wakes me up. Whether I have it set to noon or whenever, it's just waking me up when the app wakes me up. Like again, I'm not waking up at the crack ass of fucking dawn, but I'm just making sure that I'm getting up and out of the bed once my alarm goes off and I'm not snoozing, I'm not laying back down. Like I'm doing a lot better job. It's like, all right, I got work at fucking 4. I like 4 the next day. My alarm's set for 11 or noon. I've been making sure to just wake up at that point. So I just have some things to do through like before I go to work so I feel productive. Because at times it's like shit, I wake up at fucking 3. I have an hour before work. I can't fit anything into my day. I can't fit anything. It's literally now I'm just waking up, going to work, coming back home, and I just got nothing done throughout the day. So I just make sure give myself like 4 or 5 hours before I go to work. Just make sure I'm up and about, just doing something. Like today was one of those days I was just up and finally got my car in and got maintenance done. Was just out and about today, hanging by myself. So just shit like that. Even if I'm not doing anything, just going out and doing something by myself, just fucking walking around, doing something, just making me feel productive. So yeah, I've been doing a lot better.
I don't know what's been going on lately with me because I would say at least 3 times in the past 2 weeks. So my alarm goes up at 7:45, and at like 7 o'clock, I've woken up just like sweating. Not because I was having a bad dream or like a nightmare or anything like that, but the dream I was having was like exhilarating. And like I wake up and it's like, holy shit, that was awesome. And instead of just getting up 45 minutes early, I go and turn my alarm off because I'm already awake, and then I get back in the bed. So I'm waking up at 8:40. I gotta take a shower. I'm 20 minutes late to work, and it's like, Brady, this app is a wonderful thing, and you're just torturing yourself. So I'm trying to still figure it out, but
you'll get there. That all?
That's all I got for it. Yep.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with us. Like I said earlier, things will be changing and going into the off season. You guys will be, we'll be informed about that. But we appreciate you guys watching. Drop a like, comment, and sub if you haven't already. Head over to the TikTok and show some love over there. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Hopefully something in the NFL happens. If not, it'll be an episode all about the waffle. Peace.